When Hearts Collide, Part 1. Maya never thought much about the idea of love when she first moved into the cramped little apartment off campus. She was too focused on grades, deadlines, and the quiet comfort of her books. Romance was something she admired from afar, like the stories pressed between the covers of her literature assignments. She never expected her own story to begin when she met Elena. Elena was her new roommate, assigned by the university housing office when Maya had requested someone responsible and quiet. The first thing Maya noticed when Elena walked through the door was that she wasn't quiet at all. She breezed in with her arms full of canvases, paint on her jeans, and a smile that filled the entire room. "Hi," Elena had said cheerfully. "You must be Maya. Please tell me you don't mind a little color, because I kind of live in messes." Maya blinked, clutching the mug of tea she always seemed to carry. I don't mind," she stammered. And that was how it began. The first weeks of their roommate life were filled with the ordinary rhythms of student existence, Elena staying up late sketching designs for her architecture classes, Maya quietly reading in bed, the smell of Elena's experimental cooking wafting into Maya's study space, and the hum of laughter when one of Elena's bad jokes managed to crack Maya's reserved exterior. It wasn't instant friendship, but something about Elena's energy was magnetic. Maya, who had always been careful and cautious, found herself leaning closer, drawn like a moth to the flame of Elena's warmth. One evening, they sat together on the couch after a long day. Elena had insisted they watch a silly rom-com, and Maya had reluctantly agreed. Halfway through, Elena nudged her. "You know, you're just like the heroine," she teased. "All book-smart and shy, hiding behind your glasses." Maya rolled her eyes but felt her cheeks burn. "And you're like the overconfident best friend who never shuts up." Elena grinned. "That's usually the one everyone falls in love with." The words were a joke, but they hung in the air heavier than either expected. Maya shifted, feeling her heart trip over itself, while Elena quickly looked away, biting her lip as though realizing she'd said too much. The weeks turned into months, and the apartment grew smaller as their bond grew larger. They cooked together, studied side by side, and shared late-night talks that stretched until sunrise. Somewhere along the way, laughter turned into lingering touches, a brush of Elena's hand against Maya's when they passed a bowl of popcorn, the way Maya's knee stayed pressed against Elena's during movie nights. Maya wasn't oblivious. She knew she was noticing things she shouldn't, the curve of Elena's smile, the way her hair fell into her face when she sketched, the warmth that spread in Maya's chest every time Elena called her name. But she buried it. After all, they were just roommates. Just friends. Until one rainy afternoon. The storm outside rattled against their windows, and the power flickered out. They sat on the living room floor, candles casting soft shadows. Elena had pulled out her guitar, strumming softly, her voice low and melodic. "Play something you love," Maya whispered. So Elena sang. A song about longing, about waiting for someone to see you, about the ache of unspoken feelings. Maya sat frozen, her heart thudding in her chest as the lyrics wrapped around her. When the song ended, the silence was deafening. Elena set the guitar aside and looked at her. "Maya," she began, her voice unsteady. "Can I tell you something?" Maya swallowed hard. "Yes. I think I like you. Not just as a friend. Not just as a roommate." Elena's eyes were wide, vulnerable. "I didn't mean for it to happen, but every day I look at you and it feels right. It feels like you're the piece of my life I didn't know was missing." Maya's breath caught. The words she had buried inside, the feelings she had silenced, suddenly rushed to the surface. "I've been so scared," she whispered. "Scared that if I admitted it, I'd ruin everything. But Elena, I feel the same." And then, before Maya could think, Elena leaned forward, and their lips met. The kiss was soft, trembling with nerves and newness, but it carried the weight of months of unspoken desire. Maya's hands shook as she clutched Elena's shirt, pulling her closer. Elena deepened the kiss gently, her warmth seeping into Maya like sunlight breaking through a storm. When they pulled apart, breathless, they both laughed shakily, tears glistening in Elena's eyes. "Guess the rom-com heroine finally fell in love," Elena whispered. From that moment on, everything shifted. Their friendship blossomed into something richer, more intoxicating. Maya discovered new sides of herself, the way her heart soared when Elena held her hand in public, the way passion burned between them in stolen kisses that stretched late into the night. Elena, for all her boldness, showed Maya tenderness she had never known, painting her world with colors she'd never dared to dream in. It wasn't always easy. There were awkward moments, jealous glances when others flirted, and long talks about what it meant to be two women in love in a world that didn't always understand. But each challenge only made them stronger. Years passed, and the little apartment where they had first kissed became their sanctuary. They studied, graduated, and built a life side by side. Maya published her first book, dedicating it to the girl who taught me how to be brave. Elena became an architect, designing buildings that reached for the sky. And one evening, years later, under the same flicker of candlelight that had lit their first confession, Elena knelt on one knee, her voice trembling as she held out a small ring. "Maya, you're my best friend, my love, my everything. Will you marry me?" Maya's tears spilled freely as she whispered, "Yes." Their wedding was small, filled with laughter, flowers, and the people who loved them most. Maya walked down the aisle in a simple dress, Elena waiting at the altar with her heart in her eyes. When they kissed as wives, the world seemed to pause, their love shining brighter than anything around them. And as they held each other that night, Maya realized that her story had finally found its home, not in the pages of a book, but in the arms of the woman who had once walked into her life with paint-stained jeans and a smile that changed everything. Parts 3 to 5 final. Married life didn't feel all that different at first. The morning after the wedding, Maya woke to find Elena sprawled across the hotel bed, hair a wild halo, breathing soft and even. She stared for a long time, realizing with a rush of awe that this woman was now her wife. Not just her girlfriend, not just her partner, but her forever. The word wife felt heavy on her tongue, sacred. When Elena stirred awake and caught Maya staring, she grinned sleepily. "What? Do I have bedhead?" "Yes," Maya said, smiling. "And you're beautiful." Elena reached over, pulling her close. "You're stuck with me now, you know. I wouldn't have it any other way." The days that followed were full of laughter, little domestic rituals that became the backbone of their marriage. Elena was still chaotic in the kitchen, and Maya still rolled her eyes while cleaning up the trails of flour and splattered sauce. Maya still filled every empty corner with books, and Elena still teased her by hiding silly doodles between the pages. But now, everything carried a new depth. A kiss before leaving for work wasn't just a kiss, it was a promise, a reminder that they belonged to each other. Falling asleep tangled in each other's arms wasn't just comfort, it was home. They built their life together in a small townhouse with creaky floors and a garden that Elena insisted on planting flowers in. Saturdays were spent at the farmer's market, Maya selecting fresh herbs while Elena bartered with vendors over sunflowers. Sundays were for lazy mornings in bed, sipping coffee and reading aloud to each other. Of course, marriage wasn't without struggles. Bills piled up, work deadlines grew heavy, and there were nights when exhaustion led to arguments over trivial things, whose turn it was to do laundry, who forgot to buy groceries. One evening, Maya snapped, "You never take things seriously," when Elena joked during a stressful dinner. Elena fired back, "And you're always too serious. It's like you don't even know how to breathe unless you're worrying about something." The silence afterward was deafening. Maya locked herself in the bedroom, tears streaming down her cheeks. She feared, in that moment, that love wasn't enough, that maybe passion couldn't withstand the weight of reality. But Elena knocked softly, her voice trembling. "Maya, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot sometimes. I don't want to fight with you. I don't know how to handle it when you pull away. I'm scared of losing you." Maya opened the door, her heart breaking at the vulnerability in Elena's eyes. "I'm scared too. Scared that one day you'll wake up and realize I'm not enough." Elena cupped her face, her touch tender. "Maya, you're not just enough. You're everything. I'll spend my whole life reminding you, if I have to." They fell into each other's arms, the fight dissolving into kisses, apologies whispered between tears. That night, they learned that love wasn't about perfection. It was about choosing each other, again and again, even when it was hard. Years passed, and their love only deepened. They traveled when they could, to Paris, where they kissed under the Eiffel Tower, to Japan, where they walked beneath cherry blossoms hand in hand, to Italy, where they got lost in cobblestone alleys and laughed until their sides ached. Everywhere they went, strangers looked at them and smiled, as though their love radiated something undeniable. At home, they hosted friends for dinner, their apartment always full of warmth and laughter. Elena's paintings lined the walls, while Maya's books spilled from shelves. They talked late into the night about their dreams, a bigger home, maybe children someday, maybe a quiet life in the countryside when they grew old. But more than dreams, it was the everyday moments that etched themselves deepest into Maya's memory. Elena leaving little notes in her pockets, "I love you, bookworm." Maya surprising Elena with her favorite pastries after a long day. The way Elena absent-mindedly hummed when she was sketching, filling the silence with music. The way Maya's eyes softened whenever Elena smiled. One summer evening, years into their marriage, they sat on their porch, watching fireflies dance in the twilight. Maya leaned against Elena's shoulder, her hand resting on her wife's. "Do you ever think about that first kiss?" Maya asked. "All the time," Elena admitted with a grin. "I was terrified, you know. I thought you'd push me away." "I almost did," Maya confessed, laughing softly. "But then I realized I'd been waiting for it all along." Elena kissed her forehead. "Best decision you ever made." "No," Maya corrected gently. "Best decision I ever made was saying yes when you asked me to marry you." The night air wrapped around them, warm and fragrant with blooming roses. And in that quiet, Maya realized their love was no longer the shaky, uncertain spark it had once been. It was steady now, strong and enduring, like the roots of a tree that had weathered storms and grown deeper with time. Their story had begun with two students thrown together as roommates. It had blossomed through late-night confessions, stolen kisses, and the fear and courage of coming out. It had survived the doubts of family, the struggles of adulthood, and the tests of marriage. And now, years later, as they sat hand in hand beneath a sky full of stars, their love shone brighter than ever. Because love, Maya realized, wasn't about the grand moments, though they had plenty of those. It was about the quiet ones. The whispered "I love yous" before sleep. The laughter over burnt dinners. The comfort of a hand to hold when the world felt heavy. It was about waking up every morning, looking at the same person, and still choosing them over and over again. And in Elena, Maya knew she had found that forever choice. Part 2. The days after their first kiss felt like living inside a dream. Nothing looked different, but everything felt different. Maya would catch herself glancing up from her books, only to find Elena already staring at her, a mischievous smile tugging at her lips. When they passed each other in the kitchen, their hands lingered longer than necessary. When they went to bed at night, Maya could still feel the warmth of Elena's kiss burning on her lips. But along with the sweetness came an undercurrent of nervousness. They were still roommates, still students, still figuring themselves out. Neither of them said it out loud, but the unspoken question hovered. What happens now? One evening, Maya was curled on the couch with her laptop when Elena padded out of her room, hair messy, wearing an oversized sweatshirt. She sat down beside Maya, tucking her legs underneath herself. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey," Maya replied, her heart thudding. Elena hesitated, then asked, "So, are we dating?" The bluntness made Maya laugh nervously. "I don't know. Do you want to be?" "Yes," Elena answered immediately. "God, yes. I just didn't want to assume. I don't want to scare you away." "You're not scaring me," Maya said, her voice trembling but sincere. "I've never felt this way before. About anyone. But with you, it feels right." Elena's face softened, and she leaned in to kiss her again, slow and deliberate. This kiss was less hesitant than their first, more certain, more hungry. Maya melted into it, her body trembling as Elena's hands framed her face gently. From that night forward, there was no more uncertainty. They were girlfriends. The change was subtle to the outside world, but inside their little apartment, it was everything. They cooked dinner together, feeding each other bites between laughter. They studied sprawled across the same couch, Maya's head resting on Elena's lap while Elena absent-mindedly twirled her hair. They held hands on campus when they thought no one was looking. And in the quiet safety of their apartment, they kissed as though they were making up for all the years they hadn't. Maya discovered that Elena's passion wasn't just in her art, it was in everything. When she kissed like she was pouring her whole soul into it. When she touched Maya's hand, it was with an intensity that made her feel like the most important person in the world. But what surprised Maya most was her own courage. She had always been shy, careful, afraid to step outside her comfort zone. Yet with Elena, she found herself braver. She let herself laugh louder, love harder, dream bigger. One Friday night, they were supposed to go out with friends, but rain poured down in sheets, cancelling their plans. Instead, they stayed in, cooking pasta together. The kitchen was small, crowded with their movements, and somewhere between chopping onions and stirring sauce, Elena dipped her finger into the pot and playfully smeared a bit of tomato on Maya's cheek. "Hey!" Maya gasped, swatting at her. Elena grinned, eyes sparkling. "You look cute with a little color." Before Maya could protest, Elena leaned in and licked the sauce off her cheek, making Maya squeak in surprise. Their laughter echoed off the walls, and soon they were kissing again, the pasta forgotten, their bodies pressed together against the counter. That night, after dinner, they curled up in Maya's bed. The storm rumbled outside, but inside the room was warm, cocooned in the sound of their quiet breathing. Elena traced soft patterns on Maya's arm, whispering about dreams for the future, the buildings she wanted to design, the cities she wanted to see. Maya listened, her heart swelling, realizing she didn't just want to be part of Elena's present, she wanted to be part of her future. "Do you think we'll still be together after college?" Maya asked, her voice barely audible. Elena turned to face her, her expression tender. "Maya, I don't just see you as a college girlfriend. I see you as the person. The one I want to come home to, no matter where life takes me." Maya's breath caught. She buried her face against Elena's chest, tears stinging her eyes. No one had ever loved her like this before, so openly, so fiercely, so completely. Their love deepened with every passing season. In the spring, they picnicked under blooming cherry trees, sharing strawberries and kisses between sips of lemonade. In the summer, they rode bicycles along the river, racing until Maya collapsed in the grass, laughing as Elena leaned down to kiss her breathless. In the autumn, they walked hand in hand through falling leaves, their laughter echoing through the crisp air. And in the winter, they built a blanket fort in their living room, stringing fairy lights and drinking hot chocolate, kissing until the world outside disappeared. But love, no matter how magical, wasn't without its challenges. When Maya came out to her parents, they reacted with hesitation. They didn't reject her, but their silence over the phone spoke volumes. Maya cried that night, curled in Elena's arms, fearing she had disappointed them. Elena held her close, whispering, "You are not a disappointment. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. If they can't see how amazing you are, then that's their loss." And when Elena introduced Maya to her family, the evening was filled with awkward pauses and forced smiles. Elena's father avoided looking at them when their hands brushed at the dinner table. Later that night, Elena broke down, confessing how much it hurt to feel like her family couldn't accept her happiness. Maya kissed away her tears, promising, "One day, they'll understand. And if they don't, we'll build our own family, full of love." Despite the hardships, their bond only grew stronger. Each obstacle became a thread that stitched them closer together, weaving a love that was resilient and unbreakable. By the time graduation arrived, Maya and Elena were inseparable. They rented a tiny apartment downtown, decorating it with Elena's sketches and Maya's shelves of books. They cooked dinner together, argued about laundry, and fell asleep tangled in each other's arms. Years passed, and one crisp autumn evening, Elena suggested a walk. They wandered to the little park where they had shared so many quiet moments as students. The trees were ablaze with color, and the air smelled of fallen leaves. Maya was lost in thought when Elena suddenly dropped to one knee on the path, pulling a small velvet box from her pocket. Maya froze, her heart leaping into her throat. Elena's eyes glistened with tears as she opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. "Maya," she said, her voice trembling, "from the moment I walked into that apartment and saw you with your tea and your books, I knew my life would never be the same. You've been my best friend, my safe place, my love, and my inspiration. Will you marry me?" Maya's tears spilled over as she covered her mouth with her hands. Her heart felt too full to contain. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Yes, Elena. 1,000 times, yes." Elena slipped the ring onto her finger, and Maya pulled her up into a kiss, laughter and tears mingling as the world seemed to fade away. Their wedding was held the following summer, in a garden blooming with roses. Friends and family gathered, some still learning to understand, but all present to witness their love. Maya wore a flowing ivory gown, her hair pinned with delicate flowers. Elena wore a tailored suit, her eyes shining brighter than the sun. When the vows were spoken, there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. Maya's voice shook as she promised, "I will love you, in every season, through every storm, for all my days." Elena answered with equal conviction, "You are my home, my heart, my forever." And when they kissed as wives, the applause that erupted was thunderous. That night, lying together in their honeymoon suite, Maya whispered against Elena's skin, "I never thought I'd be brave enough to love someone like this. But you made me brave." Elena kissed her gently, murmuring, "And you made me whole." In that moment, surrounded by the quiet hum of their new life together, Maya knew with certainty, this was more than a love story. This was forever.